Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial is just all about highlighting and contouring. But just recently I have been really enjoying using sort of cream products to contour and then following it up with powder as well. So today I just thought I would show you how I do my contour, my cheeks, my forehead and my nose as well. If you want to see how I do my contour, then just keep on watching. Okay, so all I've done so far is literally just put on my foundation and my eyebrows. I've not done any concealer or powder or anything yet. So the first or the next thing that I would normally do is go in and do my concealing sort of highlight and just lighten up a couple of areas. So I'm going to do that now. The concealer that I am going to use today is my NYX HD Studio Concealer. It's in the shade Alabaster, which I think is the fairest shade that you can get in the NYX concealers. So this is going to be pretty light. And generally I would start and put it sort of in these places. So I'm just going to blend it all out with my Real Techniques beauty sponge. This is the best, well, the best way I found of blending out concealer. So you can kind of see that's just brought a little bit of lightness just to the kind of almost middle part of your face. I think you kind of see it as maybe a heart shape here. So just around the centre of the forehead, all around your eyes, and then coming down to your chin. So now we're going to go in and do the cream contour. The contour I'm going to use today, it's so inexpensive, but it's just one of my favourite ones, just so you can see you don't have to go and spend loads on, you know, expensive sort of Smashbox sticks and things like that. It's actually a concealer stick from Primark. I think it was like £1 or 1.50. It's in the shade Chestnut, I think, and it's just a nice dark sort of little stick. But I am going to just show you where I would contour, how I would contour, what sort of thing I would blend it out with, and you can kind of then see the difference and just see what a big difference it does make to the dimension and the depth and the look of your whole face. I would go and take it sort of from the corner of your ear down, sort of going towards the corner of your mouth, but not taking it all the way down, personally. And again on the other side. I guess it's just where you, if you can find your cheekbones and you're just going to basically underline them. I do it on my forehead just to give that a bit of colour. Just along the sort of outer part of it and down towards the temples. And then I always contour my nose. Whether I need to or not, I just much prefer the look of it when I have done it. So I find with this little stick you can kind of get in and do a nice little sort of skinny line. So I would take it down like this. Straight down the middle. And then another one on the other side, just to give it a kind of bit of shape, and also it kind of pinches it in a little bit and just makes your nose look nice and sort of thin and I don't know, just nice and structured. So that's what I end up looking like. It's a good look. I know you can kind of go in and do more contouring, but this is plenty for me. So now I am just going to blend it all out, and the brush that I like using to do this, just sort of it's not a flat top, but just like a rounded sort of kabuki brush. Just going to go in and blend it out a little bit. I always push the product sort of like up a little bit, not down, because I don't want this area to get any darker, otherwise it's going to sort of bring your sort of colour right down, and that's not really the look you're going for. That little stick, although it's just a very, very inexpensive one from Primark, it blends out so nicely and it's such a nice colour as well. It hardly takes any blend in. And then the same again with the forehead contour. It's just really a matter of kind of blending it all in together and just getting that shadow sort of across the top there. Right up into the hairline so that there's no harsh lines or anything. Okay, so now you can just sort of see that I have given myself a pair of cheekbones. My face shape particularly, I feel like I've got kind of quite a defined square jaw, so I like bringing it down quite low so that it kind of almost accentuates this area here and brings out my jaw. I feel like it makes me look skinnier, a bit more sort of shape to my face. The way that I do my nose now, I've changed my brush for a littler one. It's just, I'll try and find the set that I got it off. It was just a cheapish one off eBay and tag it in the description. But it's just sort of a flattish one. Turned on the side, it's like this. Much smaller and just gives me a little bit more sort of control with my nose contour. And with the nose contour, you kind of want it quite defined and precise. So I'm just going to kind of go down the sides, just sort of blend it downwards, sort of down the side of my nose, so it's not such a harsh line. And I normally take it right up to my sort of the corner where my brow meets my nose, just so it's a natural shadow that you would naturally have. So that's kind of how it ends up looking. I mean, I normally just soften out the nose line, go back in with the foundation brush that I've used and just sort of press it a little bit just to take any sort of excess colour off and just damp it down a little bit. But I just feel like it gives my nose a lot more sort of, it's a bit more slimline, a bit skinnier, and yeah, you can just kind of see it's giving your face a nice bit of depth, a bit of shape. You know, you can kind of actually see your cheekbones. So generally what I would do now is just kind of finish off with the powder products and set it all. I am going to use this, which is actually RCMA translucent setting powder. I just put it in a different little tin thing, little case, so it's easier to deal with. Generally when I use this, I just use my beauty blender just to kind of go in, get it on the sponge like this, and just go very carefully down the sort of side, not to disturb that nose contour you've done, and just underneath the eye where you want to set your foundation and concealer. I always set the middle of my between my eyebrows because that's generally where my makeup ends up going to. A nice big wrinkle in the middle of my forehead. Such a good look. Now I do normally just try and get a tiny little bit of powder, just sort of almost on the centre of it, and just try and set that middle bit of nose highlight. So you're not really disturbing the shadow part that you put on there, but okay, so once it's all sort of done its good work, and if you want to leave it to set, you can just sweep it away. I'm just using a Real Techniques powder brush. Just get rid of any excess powder. I do normally use another setting powder just to do the kind of rest of my face, just to sort of smooth it out a little bit, so that when I go in and just add a powder product, the bronzer and any other contour, it just helps a smooth base for it. So I'm just using the Maybelline Matte Maker just to kind of set it a little bit. Obviously I've used foundation, concealer and a cream contour, so it's just really setting all of it so it's not tacky. And you can absolutely just leave it like that. You can obviously sort of see the nice definition here, just a slight bit of darkness, a bit of definition in your cheeks and obviously your nose. But generally I like to go in and just add a little bit of extra colour with a bronzer and a little bit of powder contour as well. My Makeup Academy bronzer, this is just a matte one, so also nice and no shimmer to it or anything. And just another sort of Real Techniques powder brush. So I'm just going to set the cream contour with the little bit of this bronzer. It just add a little bit more sort of colour to your face as well, just warm it up a little bit. So you can just see it's kind of added a little bit more depth. And I'm going to use that same nose brush again and just use my NYX highlight and contour palette and just slightly darken up this nose contour with, I'm going to use the lightest shade here, just a little bit on the end, and then tap off the excess. Just go down that kind of line that I've done with the cream contour. Very gentle hand, otherwise you'll just have a big strip of dark down your nose. And that is it really. You can then go in and just sort of further darken up this cheekbone using the same palette again, and I always use my NARS ITA Brush just to take that same lightest colour on it, just on the end, tap off the excess, and you can just then darken up the cheekbone a little bit with again a very, very light hand. Just depends on how much of a contour you want. Kind of almost just stamping it on a tiny little bit, and then you can kind of just blend it out. So as you can see, you can kind of just add a little bit more dimension to your face with just a couple of products. It just sort of, I feel like it just gives me a pair of cheekbones when it's just sort of all the paleness of the foundation and the concealer. So it's just basically creating shadows and a bit of darkness and a bit of depth and a bit of warmth to your face. And yeah, this is the way that I contour. I really hope that it's been useful to you. Let me know if you have any other tips or tricks that you would like to share, maybe in the comments. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And yeah, give this video a thumbs up if you think it was a bit helpful. And I will see you again in my next video.